For any young starter or first-time entrepreneur, there's a lot of knowledge, expertise and experience out there for the price of coffee. Just answer your question.
Welcome to another episode of StartUP Stories, the monthly event that aims to motivate and challenge you through inspiring stories from entrepreneurs themselves. We chat with them about their journey, challenges, and experiences. My name is Rachel, and I'm the host of StartUP Stories. And today we're hosted by Capricorn Partners in their offices. They are an independent European manager of venture capital and equity funds, investing in innovative European companies with technology as a competitive advantage. Their focus area includes clean tech, health tech, digital, and the intersection between Europe and Asia. And believe me, these offices are absolutely beautiful. The building is a great mix of the old architecture with modern, and it was very impressive walking in here. We're joined by a live audience with whom we'll be taking questions at the end. And for people following online, streaming live on Facebook, ask any questions during our chat, and then I'll address them at the end. Today, I'm joined by Véronique Bockstal, founder of Outgrow, co-founder of the UCLL Female Founders Academy, and author of the book, The 1 Million Euro Woman. She is a scaling mentor for female founders. She comes from an entrepreneurial family, and after a professional career in business, she started her own business at a later stage. After encountering the usual startup struggles, she sold and discovered a new and personal mission, which was helping other female founders increase their turnover to and beyond 1 million euros. She does this through group coachings via the UCLL Female Founders Academy, on an individual basis through her own company Outgrow, and with the self-help guide De Vrouw van 1 miljoen, also translated as the 1 million euro woman. She works on the crucial barriers and drivers to accelerate their personal and business growth. Welcome, Véronique.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very welcome to have you here. I'm also joined by Thomas Aertgeerts, a young tax lawyer that wanted to create the best accounting firm in the country. So he created AstroAccounting with a focus on user-centeredness, simplicity, and innovation. He is also a co-founder of 2 additional businesses, Aecolegaltech, which aims to revolutionize the legal sector, and iStart, a Belgian online legal service provider that enables you to launch your Belgian company entirely online. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm not sure about young though, but
just to get to know you both a little bit more, Véronique, can you tell us more about the Female Founders Academy, how it works, what kind of founders found their way to you, and how that works?
The Female Founders Academy, I co-founded together with an academic institution in Hasselt and in Leuven, which is called UCLL. They are part of the KU Leuven group. And it came about in 2019, after a few years after I sold my company. And I wanted to do something with the experience as a first-time entrepreneur for other female founders, because I noticed there were quite some differences in how they handled their business and their business growth. So we launched the program 4 or 5 years ago. Firstly focusing on female founders wanting to scale to the first €1 million in revenues. And the idea came because less than 1 out of 10 female founders ever reach that milestone, ever. And since this year, we have a second program aimed at female founders still having a job on the side or being a solopreneur and wanting to scale to the first €100,000 in revenues, because less than 6 out of 10 female founders ever hit that mark.
Wow. Okay. And how do they find their way then through this program? How does that work?
Well, we do a lot of promotion. We work with female networks and also mixed networks to reach these female founders and attract them to our program. And mouth-to-mouth promotion as well helps. The program is always limited to 15 participants at a time because it's a very hands-on program. It's not about theory. It's not about what you need to do to grow. It's how you and your business do it. So we help them on the spot to apply different things in marketing, sales, fundraising if needed, mindset issues, doing away with limiting beliefs and things like that.
And are there any other requirements that they need to?
For the 100,000 euro program, there are none. You just have to have started something. You are selling something, a product or a service. For the 1 million euro program, you need to have revenues between 100 and 300,000 already. The ambition to scale and have something in your business that is scalable, that you can grow without adding additional people.
And Thomas, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how it's led you to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So my journey as an entrepreneur actually began about 3 years ago. I just quit my job at a Big Four consultancy firm. I didn't know that my last day would be the first day of the COVID pandemic. Not sure if I should have changed my mind. I don't think so. But I remember sitting in a bar on one of those last evenings when it was possible in 2020, thinking, okay, what will I do now? I'm very grateful for the leap I took then. So I started my company together with my two brothers. So we're a family-owned company. My background was as a tax lawyer, and one of my brothers is a physicist. The other one is a civil engineer. And we decided to change the way that legal companies work or operate in Belgium. So we had a mission. We wanted to make legal work or legal advice cheaper and faster and more accessible. And that's actually what we've been doing or trying to do in these past 3 years. So it's been, I would say, a typical journey for an entrepreneur, which means going up and down and then going up again. So from an entrepreneurial perspective, we started out really with the technology-only focus. So we wanted to be a software as a service company and provide software typical for the legal space. And we really struggled finding a product market fit. So really pinpointing what exactly these law firms or accountancy firms, what they needed. Up until the point that we decided to pivot. So from a purely technology company, we changed to actually a services company, but with technology in our background. So to make this very palpable, that's what we're doing now with our accountancy firm. So we are an accountancy firm, which means that we have people doing accountancy work, but we are very much technology driven and technology led. So we take a different approach to other accountancy firms because our DNA is, we're not accountants, we're a software company trying to revolutionize the way that accountants do their work. So it's been a fantastic journey so far, and I'm very excited to see what's next, because obviously we have so many challenges at the same time.
Super. I'm really curious in what way you're making it faster. How was the legal advice system so slow and non-available?
So what I noticed as a lawyer is that actually how law firms work is very archaic. So there isn't very much digital in this world. So it's all about humans, about smart people working hard, doing great every day, doing their best for clients. But this also means that it's expensive, because if you want the best people and if they're not really supported by technology, that means the fees will be high. The bad thing is that it actually works. So for the top law firms and the big law firms, they actually make a lot of money because they provide good value for clients. But this is the tip of the pyramid. So that means that if you can pay for this excellent advice, it's fine. But everybody else, so everybody on the bottom part of the pyramid is not getting the advice they need. And that actually, it's a problem with access to law. There was really an issue, and that was something we wanted to solve. And because we couldn't solve this with technology only, we decided to provide the legal services, and in this case, the legal and tax services as an accountancy firm ourselves.
That's really good. Yeah, I actually have literally got this person in my mind, this good friend of mine that indeed wants to take legal action, but it's literally like, because of the cost of it, I don't think I will. So yeah, very recognizable. Véronique, as I already mentioned, you encountered various challenges, and as an entrepreneur, is there one that really stands out, or maybe one that other people might not expect?
Well, the one that kept me from jumping, as they say, into becoming an entrepreneur was perfectionism. And it's the opening quote of my book: perfect means never. Waiting for the right time, waiting for the right market, waiting for the right target group. There's never a perfect moment if you want to start a business, and that perfect moment will never come. There's never a perfect market, there's never a perfect customer. So just doing it is the only thing you can do. Jump, try. It's trial and error. Founding a business, running a business, growing a business. And my experience withheld me from jumping in a sense that I overanalyzed everything. So I had a lot of ideas. I wrote a zillion business plans and financial plans, but I overanalyzed. And of course, at the time before I jumped, I was an interim management, a consultant, sending my invoice, paid by the hour, sending my invoice every month, and no startup, no idea compared to that income. There was nothing that would get me that income from the start. So I put a lot of ideas aside because I thought these are not going to fly rapidly enough. So procrastination. And the funny thing was, I came from an entrepreneurial family. I have been living among entrepreneurs until I was 24, 25, until I started working for another company. And I didn't jump. So I saw it happening in front of my eyes, but I didn't do it.
It sounds, again, very recognizable. I've got a million ideas and various plans, but it's just like, don't know if that's good enough. So definitely recognize that.
I can also totally relate to your story. I think if you would have told me 3 years ago, when I was sitting in the bar thinking, why did I quit my job on the beginning of the pandemic, and you would have told me in 3 years' time you would be a co-founder of an accountancy firm, I'd say, how did this happen? I'm a lawyer. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to build technology, and the only thing that led to this is jumping, taking the decision, because it's always a lot of ifs and maybes, and so I can totally relate to if you don't jump, you will never get farther than the idea. And
yeah, and the funny thing was, I started a company in food. I had never worked in that industry. As an interim manager consultant, I worked in a lot of industries, but not in food. So it took me about a year to understand that sector. Burned a lot of cash. A zillion times I thought, I'm not an entrepreneur, I can't do it, everyone else is better than I am. But I got a grip on how it worked, and 1 year down the road, I found my product market fit, and I grew my business to 250,000 euros in revenues in just 1 year, getting 200 clients to buy my products. But I wasn't an entrepreneur. I was not able to do it. I kept myself quite small.
you become an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
by doing it, and it's something you learn, and after a while you start to realize that even if your company fails, it doesn't matter, because you've become an entrepreneur and you will be fine, because you've learned these little things that you need to do to increase your chance of succeeding. You're never sure that you will succeed, but you will increase your chance.
I always call it my MBA. An MBA you can't follow anywhere, and I paid it myself. My company didn't pay for it.
Onto our first topic that I wanted to talk about today was diversity and young entrepreneurship. Véronique, with the Female Founders Academy, we're super interested to know, what trends do you see that you can share with us? Are there, the most common struggles, for example? How are women overcoming these? Interested from those insights.
Well, apart from the fact that we all know, and it's a bit the same everywhere, there are less female entrepreneurs. We're not a minority as women, but there are less female entrepreneurs. They have smaller businesses. They hire less people. They try to work longer with their own cash, their own money. So they ask less funding and get less funding. And it's appalling, the figures. And if you ask female founders, and it's a bit the take or the results I take from different research papers. But if you ask them, what is withholding you from growing your business? They themselves indicate there are 3 things that keep them from growing. One is access to knowledge. The second thing they say is access to capital, to funding. And the third thing is access to networks. And if you know that more than 80% of funding that founders raise comes from their networks, talking to people, meeting investors, getting introductions, women are inclined to network less because they prioritize other things and they see networking as not working. For male founders, networking is working. Female founders prioritize spending time working on their business or in their business, spending time with their families. But networking is crucial if you want to grow a company. So the other thing I see, or that is a huge topic currently, is that if there are some papers proving that female founders have less ambition than male founders, and I do not believe it. But this being said, female founders tend to interpret ambition in a different way. And if you measure their ambition by the same standards that you measure ambition of male founders by, in terms of how fast are they growing, how much people are they hiring, how much funds are they raising, yes, then the result is they are less ambitious. But female founders tend to say, we want to grow, we are ambitious, we want to grow to the same size as other businesses, but not at all cost. If it goes slower, it goes slower. But we do want to spend time with family, we do want to have me time, we do not want to sacrifice everything for the sake of growing our business. So it all depends on, I'm pleading for using some different measures sometimes to compare both founders, male and female.
Super interesting. What should we, I say we, like society, governmental, other, what should we be doing to facilitate more female entrepreneurship? Because what you're saying is very much individual centered, but is that because of external factors or messages that they're subliminally getting?
Well, I think it's a complex problem. It's a complex issue. One of the things is you have to recognize, and there's nothing wrong with it, but as a woman, you are differently wired than a man. And I'm talking about a typical man, typical woman. We have a different hormone system. Our brains are wired differently, and we still hear different things while growing up. Girls are sweet, boys are, I don't need to give the examples. So one of the things is to recognize we are different. There's nothing wrong with it, but to use it at our advantage and to look. I'm going to use the example of an investment committee, which is male-dominated still. And they tend to look at female founders coming to pitch their business and ask for funds through the same lens as they are looking at male founders. And what do male founders typically do? Project bigger, faster growth. Don't worry too much. They're not worrying too much about the problems. Women tend to identify the problems and then also say, there are a couple of risks here, there are a couple of problems. We thought about it, and this is how we would handle it. And some investors appreciate this. Some investors say, they seem not that sure about what they're doing. Also, their projections are more realistic. But investors know that if they hear projections from founders, they need to downscale them a bit and say, 100% growth or 300% growth in 3 years. We'll downscale that a bit and we'll lower the amount being asked. But if you do this with female founders, there's nothing left. So I don't know. It's a complex problem. what I tend to say as to female founders is, I mean, it's become a bit of my tagline is own it. I mean, step forward, discuss it, don't hide, like I'm doing myself. Get on stage, talk about your experience, be open about it, but show up, speak up. I mean, don't wait too long for other people to take whatever measure that is going to help you, because it's lasting ages before something changes. Ask for it. To give the example, when I wrote my book and I published my book, I mean, nobody was waiting for my book. I mean, who the hell is Véronique Bockstal? Who the hell is the 1 million euro woman? So I stepped forward and contacted every single networking organization, asking them if I could come and present my book. Not one time, two times, three times. And after 9 months, they started asking me. And I was, oh, okay, something changed. It didn't happen like that. If I hadn't done that, my publisher would have said to me, a second book? No, I don't think so. Your first one didn't sell.
Okay.
I do like the title quite a lot. It's very catchy. You don't?
I didn't find the title. And the first time my publisher suggested the title, I said, sorry? Wait a second. Véronique Bockstal, the 1 million euro woman? I don't think so. Everyone is going to think I'm the 1 million euro one. I'm not. And he said, well, let's think about it. I'll suggest another title. And the second title he suggested was Women Earn More. And I said, no, thank you. We'll take the first title.
Lovely.
Yeah, maybe to add on your story, because it's very relatable as well. For me, it's about awareness. I think that's the key. So if I speak for myself, about 4 years ago, I read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, so the maybe former COO of Facebook, and like growing up as a man in from a family with parents who studied and on an academic level, I never realized there was so much bias in how I behaved, not only but just in general. And for me, reading the book was really an eye opener. So it's, for me, awareness is one of the crucial elements as well.
And the funny thing is, the bias is not intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no male investor getting up in the morning saying, oh, today I don't think I'm going to invest in a female founder. I'll invest in only male founders today. That's not what's happening. They're just not conscious about. One of the first events I spoke at with my book was an all-female event, and the only man present was the husband of the organizing lady. And he came up to me afterwards and said, I think I realize now, if you're somewhere as a woman on a male-only event and there's not a lot of women, how you must feel, how difficult it must be to mingle and to step forward and talk about the issues that you want to talk about, because I feel very strange. And all these women are very nice to me, but I can imagine if it's the other way around, that they just talk over you being there. And then you have to claim your space and say, hi, I'm here as well. I have something to say, which is not easy.
Not at all. Thomas, also from your perspective, as you said you weren't maybe that young, but I still see you as a young entrepreneur. What conditions do you think that young founders need to enable or encourage them to go that route, whether it be in society, in the city, financially, or other support? What would help more young people dare to make the leap, let's say?
For me, it's about examples. If you have people, maybe not directly, but you see and who you can relate to. So then we get back a little bit to the female-male issue as well, that there's a lot more examples of male entrepreneurs doing something than female. But in general, if you have an example of somebody doing this, like, hey, I know this person and he or she did this, so maybe I can do this too. And for me, that's the main one. And I think networking is also something that jumps in. For example, 3 or 4 years ago, we were selected by KBC Started, so an incubator, and that really boosts your confidence. You're joining this competition and you're selected as one. I don't know really what it means, but still, it's boosting your confidence that, like, okay, we have an idea and somebody said it was not that bad. And let's get started. And you you have the examples, you have the network, and you can actually talk to other people who have the same fears and issues as you have, and the same challenges ahead. So for me, these three are crucial. Yeah.
And is there any way you are cultivating a certain culture, a particular culture in the startups that you've co-founded that helps this mindset, let's say?
Yeah, I really like the example of female founders defining success or ambition differently, because I also think that this is something we do as well. So ambition and success is obviously it's always economically driven, because if you're not a viable startup, there's nothing to talk about. But once you get to like a company that can stand on its own, I think there are other values that are equally important, and which is also doing the right thing. It might sound a little bit fuzzy, but having a niche where you can really make an impact and not only money. Having a company where there's an open culture where everybody can talk to anyone, and I know this is what all the big companies will say if they have their policies, but I've worked there, and there's a difference between saying and really feeling this. So for me, if me and my brother are doing, we have these quarterly evaluations where we talk to everybody in the firm in, let's say, every 3 months. And it's always so open, and after it's always a very heavy day with a lot of conversations, but afterwards I really feel okay, we are doing something right, because these people are trusting us and mentioning things they wouldn't say to a company that they don't trust, and I really like this balance, and I also think it's important, maybe coming from my background as a lawyer, where I never felt that they really cared if I worked long hours, because it benefited the company. But I do try and say, like, hey, go home, do this, because it's I want to the people who I work with to be happy and to work with us for a long time. So it's not only about welfare, but it's also a very economic argument. If people are happy, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You want to keep them with the company for a long time. And I really believe that if you find the sweet spot between business and work-life balance, then it will really benefit you, not only as a person, but also as a company.
Completely agree. Really nice. Thank you. Another topic that I thought would be very interesting to the audience is product and service development. So I was interested, Véronique, how you developed Outgrow's service package and pricing. I feel it's quite unique in the market. Was there any like research and development that you did? How has the offering maybe changed over time? How have you approached that?
Well, in fact, Outgrow, which is my fourth company, came about after I launched the academy, the Female Founders Academy, where I do, which is of course based on quite some research that I did before I joined the academic institution, and then while I worked and still work there. But Outgrow came about because female founders asked me, look, we want to be coached, but we can't join a group coaching, forcing us to attend 8 evenings in the course of 4 or 5 months. So we want some individual coaching. So they came to me, and I had to set up a company because I couldn't do that with the academic institution. And I started looking around, okay, what is there in the market? How will I shape this individual coaching? Tried different things with different prices, just tried and tested. See what worked, and I finally discovered that I'm at my best, and the clients I have benefit the most from short-term tracks, no longer than 3 months, because I'm at my best in the first weeks, the first month, month and a half, really getting into their business, bringing on ideas, helping them out on certain issues, shaping their longer-term plan, shorter-term plan, opening my network, and then getting them into the discipline to find time to work on their business rather than in their business. Because when you're that small, in that range where you can still kind of generate your revenues on your own with a very small team, maybe a freelance team, you have to get into that habit of finding time to work on your business, thinking about your strategy, slowly hiring people, whether it's freelance on the payroll, doesn't matter, but delegating things to others, because you can't grow on your own. You need people, you need financial means, and of course the right mindset to grow. So I'm offering these short-term tracks at a fixed price, and I keep in touch with them after they graduate from my individual coaching, which is a big word. And I'm now starting a train-the-trainer program. So based on the methodology that I developed with my book, to help female business coaches to base their coaching on my methodology and grow their business.
Exciting. So really also self-knowledge and getting that sweet spot, as you say.
Yeah, talking and asking a lot of feedback while you're coaching someone. After coaching, what could be better? Where did you benefit most? What could I change to make it even better? Because I keep evolving, and it's they need to progress. That's the most important thing. It's not about me. It's about their business. But it's about them feeling that they grow personally and that they grow in terms of their business, which is not only revenue based, but of course it is also about money. But it's often with female founders in that stage is grabbing their focus, because they think often, oh, if I want to grow, I need to add products, I need to add services, I need to approach new markets. And it's rather, no, I mean, what's that unique thing, that one thing that you're really, really, really good at? And where is your ideal customer? And if you combine both of them, you can already go a long way before you need to expand your offering, expand your markets.
Yeah. Oh, super insightful. Thank you, Thomas. I can imagine there's a lot of accounting firms. And, you know, in the beginning, I said that you had this ideology that you wanted to be the best in the country. How did you define what's unique about your business? What competitive edge do you have over other accounting firms? What differentiates your service?
Yeah, from your introduction, what I remembered is that we want to be the most customer centric accountancy firm that there is, and customer centricity is really and user experience. That those are the key words. So there are a lot of accountancy firms. I like to give the example of the web shop. So let's say you want to order an iPhone now. You can order an iPhone at the web shop of the Fnac. So it's a French retailer. And if you order the iPhone, it will be shipped to you. It will be the same iPhone, and you will have it in, let's say, 2 to 4 days. I don't know. But still, you won't order it with Fnac. You will order it with Coolblue or Bol.com. Why? They do exactly the same. They ship your phone from, and it's the same price. Everything is the same. But if you order with Coolblue, you have the feeling as a customer, okay, wow, it's so easy. They have this platform. It looks nice. It's more fun. It's easier. This is exactly what we try to do in accountancy, in a sector that is exactly the opposite. And all the accountancy firms, they all shout, we are the best because of this and this and this. But for me, or for us as a company, what we see is that they fail to grasp the reality of the new customer. So we're used to this kind of service. And maybe now we might be okay with our accountant being old-fashioned, but what will happen next year? What will happen in 5 years? People, they expect this service also from their accountant, also from us, and this is where we will make the difference. And obviously, we will have. So if you ask me what do, we are very personal. Because that's important. People, it's your money we're talking about, and an accountant you have a personal relationship with your accountant. So you want to have a person on your file. You want to make sure that they are the experts, that they know what they're talking about, that they will give you tax advice, and that you won't pay. And it's a Belgian thing, but also more in general, that you don't pay too much taxes. And it needs to be digital and fast. But this is a given. But in every of these aspects, you need to know what your customer cares about, and being very customer centric. And this is where technology actually jumps in, because now being an accountancy firm or working in one, you realize it is difficult. It is very complex, and the government is making it more complex every day. But technology will really enable you to do all of these things in a way that has a great quality at an affordable price. But it always starts with the customer experience, and the enabler is the technology. And this is why for us as a technology company, it's so cool to work on something every day. We listen to our customers, we listen also to the accountants, because this as a company we actually have two main stakeholders. One are the customers, but also the accountants. It's becoming a profession that less and less people want to enter into. Why? Because it's a lot of hard work, and they don't get it's a lot of repetitive work. So next to keeping our customers happy, keeping the accountants happy is also a main focus. And again, it's the same thing. It's technology. It's seeing where can we improve the life of the customers and the accountants. And the great thing to see is that it goes hand in hand quite often as well, that we can improve something for clients and accountants at the same time. So that's the interesting thing.
And how did you determine when you had like the right product market fit? And are there certain KPIs or metrics that you used or use now?
So for us, the product market fit, that was really a journey. So we started out as I mentioned, as a technology company. I wanted to provide software as a service. And in the beginning, we did a lot of technology projects, like a software company for law firms and accountancy firms. So we automated a lot of stuff. They were always happy. We were earning good money because we were doing consultancy. So we just like, okay, this is a project. It's going to cost you 20 days. This is our daily fee. So we were actually growing, but not in a way that we wanted to, and also not in a way that is truly scalable. Because for every project, you have to find a new assignment, a new partner, a new client. And keeping this on and on again. And for us, discovering accountancy, they were one of our clients. And at some point we were like, okay, instead of doing a project, we really think we can do better what they are doing. If we become, and if we cut out the middleman, if we don't work for the companies in between, but if we go straight away to the end consumer. So finding the product market fit was a long journey for us. And also one which there's a lot of regulatory challenges as well. Becoming an accountancy firm in Belgium, there's a lot of rules you have to respect, and we really had to find a way of organizing our company in a way that is benefiting all the stakeholders involved. And that was a very, very tough nut to crack. But I'm very happy that very recently we really figured this out. And now it's about keeping customers happy and about getting more customers.
I recognize the difficulty of finding your product market fit with the food company I had. It took me about a year to really find that fit between what we were offering and the right customer, or the customer willing to buy. I think I visited every potential retail outlet, supermarket, food service business that there is in Belgium to try and sell our products. And after a year, thanks to a food fair, by accident, I found my product market fit. And then I thought, the shops I'm selling to, of course, they're interested in how much they will earn on the products that I'm selling to them, what margin they can take on top of the price that they need to pay me. So I spent days calculating, okay, this product I can earn, I can allow this type of margin. Of all the customers I ever had in my food business, none, zero, ever asked me about that margin. None. What they asked me, because I have a quite broad take on a business, they said, could you have a look at my shelf? I have all these granolas, I have all these teas, but do I need that much? What are the trends in the market? Do you know? So I started figuring a bit as a consultant to their business, and on the side sold my own products, of course. So how you can get it wrong by, I didn't talk about them. What do you need? What is keeping you awake at night? I thought, margin. That's what I need. How much will they earn on their products, on my products?
Véronique, you also already mentioned, that you talk to the female founders about really finding where their super good at and grow in that way rather than. But are there other things that you talk to them about product and service development, and things that you look at with them?
Well, I always take them through the 3 M's, as I call them. If they want to shape their business or grow their business, it's about one of the things they need to do is get in the seat of being their business leader, their business founder. They tend to talk about having a small activity, having a small product, having a small business. And I'm like, however small you are a founder, you have a business, you are selling something, you have clients willing to pay for what you're selling. The second thing is that they tend to think that they need to do everything themselves and need to know everything themselves, which is not true. So that's another thing I try to get away from, to get them away from, is there are loads of people out there having all kinds of knowledge you do not need to have to run your business. You can hire it, you can pay for it, you can get these people on your payroll. The only thing you need to find out is what is that thing that where you make that difference, that you're not going to outsource, you're not going to delegate because it keeps you warm. And this is what makes your business, because it's you driving your business forward with that knowledge, with that experience. And then the third thing that they need to have a look at is money. You need money to grow. And either it comes from paying clients or it comes from a third party. And the limiting belief they have is if I take money from an investor, gone is my business, which is not true. It's not true. Of course, there are investors maybe only interested in earning money on your work, but most of them are in a win-win situation. Of course, they want to get better from investing in your business, but not without you getting better as well. And they won't do the work. They will ask you to report and have a look at what you're doing, but they tend to think, I lost my business whenever I accept money from someone else. So I'd rather burn my own cash, which is not the right way.
All right. Final topic. We already mentioned it a couple of times, networking, expertise. So I'm curious, Thomas, how have you built your network around you, and how have you found the right people to help you? How have you decided what to delegate and what to do yourself?
Maybe to start with the question. So the main people are my brothers. So I was born with them in a way. So that's quite nice. But it's not an answer for everyone, obviously. But what works for me personally, I also think it depends on who you are as a person. But what works for me is LinkedIn. So I've been building my LinkedIn presence already as a lawyer. So having a real strong network of people who know me and I know them. I also truly believe in interpersonal relationships everywhere you go. So if it's on your job or at a sport club you join or your family, it doesn't really matter. If you talk to people, they and it doesn't always have to be this economic, like if I help this person now, I really need him or her to help me. It doesn't work like this. I really believe that if you're just a genuine nice person, that it will get back to you. And for example, one of our investor actually is somebody I got to know through a former colleague of mine who talked to her uncle at a Christmas party, and that's when we had this call to ask for investments. He contacted me personally. He's like, hey, my niece told me this. So I could never have believed that by being just like a genuine nice person, I also helped her boyfriend at the time with some issue. It doesn't really matter, but I really believe that in the end, just being nice to people is the good thing to do, and it will also help you in the long run.
I fully agree. I'm a LinkedIn addict. I just passed 7,000 contacts on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we connected this morning, but I was not at 7,000, I think.
No, I think you were 7,016 in the meantime. Because it's an easy way to connect to people, and it opens up their networks as well, which is important. But networking, I look at networking as something with intent, intentional. If you go to network for professional reasons, try and be clear about why you're going to a certain network, why you're doing it. But look at it from a give and take perspective. It's not that you're going to networks just to ask things. Can you do this for me? Can you give me that? I need an intro there. No, it's give and take. And the more you give, the more you can ask. Maybe it doesn't come spontaneously, but you can ask. I can surely say that whoever I contact in my network with a question will respond, because I give a lot. And I like giving a lot. I mean, it's the paying forward. But I'm a true believer also of the quote of Oprah Winfrey saying, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. I mean, asking your question as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you always are in need of something, whether it's money, whether it's employees, whether it's a co-founder, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's an accountant, whatever new accountant, you're always in need of something. And I always say to female founders, the best marketing tool ever, you always have with you. They look at me and say, what is that? Your mouth. Your mouth. Just say what you're doing, what keeps you awake at night, what you're looking for. Ask your question and then listen. What comes back? Be interested in the people you are with. When you talk to someone, be interested in what they are doing. Try to help, and if you can't help, so be it.
Yeah, maybe to add on networking in general, I truly believe it's something you can learn and you can get better at. Once you understand how networking actually works, it's not awkward at all. It's just you putting yourself out there and trying saying, hi, I'm Thomas, I'm from this company, who are you? And the first times you have to do this, especially if you're younger, it's like, oh, it's cringe, it's awkward. But the 100 or the 1000 time you do this, it just comes. And it's really something you can learn. Like, some people are better at it at the start or have more of a gift, but everybody can learn.
Absolutely. And if female founders are hesitant to do it, I said the best opening question is, you just don't even have to say I'm such and such. You just say, what brings you here? People like to talk, really. And it gives you a lot of information. And then you can think about what you're going to say next.
That's a good tip. I'm going to remember that one. As a last question, Véronique, curious to know, how do you see the most lucrative startups or best entrepreneurs grow? On the side of it, on the other side, and what is the biggest mistake that they're still making?
It's a huge question. I don't think there are mistakes in being an entrepreneur or founding, running, growing a business. It's about trying something. There are no handbooks for starting, running. I mean, there's a lot of course, handbooks, but I mean, it's like a baby. When I got my daughter, I threw away every possible book about being a perfect mother. Because I mean, she didn't fit, and we didn't fit in any of these. It's you're unique as a founder. The way you do things, even if you're selling a commodity, the way you do things are unique. So mistakes, I don't like to talk about mistakes. I don't think there are mistakes. That you try things, and if it doesn't work, you just try something else, and if it works, just keep going, keep repeating it. But I do think in order to grow a successful business, that you need to be ambitious the way you want to be ambitious, and success is something different for everyone. And be persistent. Do not give up. And if you fail, get up, try again. And the younger you are, the more horizon you have in front of you, and the less impactful it is if you fail.
I love that. What a great way to close off. I'm going to look at the audience first and see if there are any questions here. And in the meantime, I'm also going to look online and see if there are any other questions. But here in the audience, any questions that we can address? I'm just going to repeat the question for the people watching online. So any advice for not young people, actually older people that are starting a startup, and yeah, to not be afraid and to take the leap of faith, let's say?
Well, first of all, starting a business you can do at any age. I mean, there's plenty of examples of even younger kids selling something, referring to my brother who sold lots of things at school while he was 13, 14. I jumped when I was 50, and if I would have the chance to start all over again, I would start much sooner. But don't wait. I mean, the only, if I can use the word mistake I made, is when I jumped at 50, I thought, I'm not going to make the same mistakes as these young founders, because I've had my career, huge network, been in different industries. Yeah, dream on. A first-time entrepreneur goes through the same struggles, irregardless whether you're man, woman, or an ex non-binary, doesn't matter. I mean, because in fact, starting, running, growing a business is gender neutral. It has nothing to do with your gender. You come across the same type of issues. It's sometimes how you deal with them that could be different because of your background or your gender or whatever, what you learned and heard in life.
Yeah, I actually totally agree. And I think we're back at where we started with the just do it. It's the best and maybe the only tip of being an entrepreneur. If you don't start, you will never know. And also with the handbooks, there's a lot of books. And for example, the Lean Startup, that's one of the startup Bibles. And you read this book and you think, oh, how could all these people have been so stupid to make these mistakes while it was actually that simple? That's what you think. Then you start your business, and after a year or two, if you read it back, or even after a few months, you're like, I actually made those mistakes, and I read them before, so I could have known. And there's this inherent quality in learning by making mistakes that will make you not make the mistake, or maybe different mistakes, but you learn by doing. So not starting is it's the only thing you shouldn't do if you want to do something.
Any other questions here in the audience? Oh, sorry, Garvit. For the people following online, so if you finally make the decision to take the leap of faith and start your own business, being a lawyer, what are the legal aspects? Will they frighten you off? Has your experience as a lawyer helped you in that? What would your advice be to other people? What are the things that they need to take into account?
Yeah, so there will always be reasons not to start, because you're only one person or a founder's team. So there will always be stuff you are good at and everything else you don't know. So obviously being a lawyer as a background helped me with the legal stuff, but everything else I didn't know. And as Véronique mentions, there's tons of people who know tons of stuff about whatever you need, and you can hire them, you can ask them. Maybe in your network there will be people who know. So it's easier on this part, but it was harder on other parts. And it shouldn't stop you from starting. And starting actually is getting easier and easier as we go. So yeah, two of my companies are a great example. If you want to start your company, you can go and Google online, and probably, or it should be one of the first companies you see is, okay, iStart. Okay, I want to start my company online. Next question, I need an accountant because I'm not an accountant. Okay, Astro. Okay, they seem cool. Okay, this would be a great idea. So there's always people helping you. You can ask me after the session. I'm very glad to help, and I actually give a lot of advice to people just because I want to share. If I'm excited about what I do and what I know, so I want to share.
For any young starter or first-time entrepreneur, there's a lot of knowledge, expertise, and experience out there for the price of a coffee. Just ask your question.
Power of the network.
It was a lot shorter than my answer.
But, I mean, I of course I had ideas to start up when I was younger, but the startup community, like I say, I was also part of KBC started. The startup community when I was 30 wasn't there. If it had been there, maybe I would have started sooner. I had an idea. I had no clue how to start, where to get money. That one I couldn't start up without external funding. I didn't know. So I moved on in my corporate career, unhappy, frustrated, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah, also access to funding has never been easier than today. If we had the same, if me and my brothers had been born 20 years or 30 years ago, we would probably never have, maybe not even started the company, and we would never have found funds so easily, and which gave us the time to make the mistakes we did, because we made a lot of them and we needed the funding to be able to make those mistakes. So I think it's a great let's say era we're in for startups, better than it ever was.
There was a question here at the front.
Well, I think there's a responsibility on both sides of the table, I always say. On the side of the investors, in a sense that try and diversify your team to have a broader look, a broader perspective on what is being presented to you. I always give the example of that American female founder with that app to follow up your period.
Flow?
Yeah.
It's one of them that I know.
And had to pitch that idea to a male-only investor panel. Don't need to say what happened. They didn't get the funding. Well, they did get the funding because one of the male investors talked about it at home. And his wife was so enthusiastic that he said, can you ask your girlfriends, female friends, if they would like this? And they all said, where can we buy it? So he went back to his male colleagues and said, I think we need to have another look at this. And they invested, and the company grew to a multi-million-dollar company. So it's diversifying the team, looking at the dossiers. But on the other hand, also the female founders, I mean, I always have to be careful about how I say it, but familiarize yourself with this type of investing, and don't copy what you think you need to do in order to get that investment. But everyone who's pitching their dossier needs to learn how to pitch it right. Also male founders, you don't get up in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to visit a couple of investors and just pitch my business. You need to prepare that. Women need to do that as well. And of course the other side is interested down the line. Will I be able to make some return? And hopefully a good return. There's nothing wrong with that. That's economics. So familiarize yourself with the concept and go after the money. And realize that you have to pitch maybe quite a bit. But that's also the same for male founders. You don't get your money the first time you pitch. You get better at it, and at some point you'll get some money. I talked to quite some bankers as well, and they say, you know, the dossiers we get from female founders are always very good. Very good. I mean, everything is well documented, but they just ask not enough money. We're like, but it's not enough. It's not enough. They won't be able to grow their business with this type of money. So they tend to get rejected because they don't ask enough money. Can you imagine? Yeah. And talk to one another. I mean, maybe before you go and pitch your business, you know, talk to the people from the investment fund, get to know one another. Of course, nobody has time, but just, you know, keep calling, keep asking them for a meeting.
Or ask Véronique for some great leads of female founders in your sector.
Any other questions? No, I did see one online. By the way, perfect means never. Love this quote, and it's so applicable for all of us. Borik is asking, Thomas, do you think you will be able to compete with the big four in the field of accountancy thanks to your technological advantage in the future? Do you protect your know-how with patents or with other means of protecting your intellectual property?
Yeah, so to answer the first question, yes. Yes, we will be able to compete because we will provide a better customer experience. And I've worked in Big Four, so I know how they operate. I know how the model works. And the consultancy firms with their partnership, it actually hampers innovation. Because for innovation, you need to have investment. You need to have everybody on board. Investment also means getting your money back maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10, maybe never. And a partnership structure, as in the Big Four, actually stops this innovation from happening. So for me, the first question is clearly yes. Also because we focus on one specific group of clients now, and maybe with our next startup or further along the line, we will focus on exactly this group that we need to grow. And if you're too broad, it's you can do this by just working with people, because good working and smart people will always get you this broad view. But the focus is what focus and customer experience is what will differentiate us. And a second thing is, I think it's a very good question. When you just start your startup, you don't realize how important the IP is. Everybody tells you, and still you think, yeah, but what is this exactly, and what do I know? But you realize very soon that you need to listen to these people, and protecting your IP. It doesn't have to be a patent, but it's very important to know where the IP is and what exactly is the value of your company. For example, for Astro, it will be in the IP of the technology. So we will be very customer centric, and the people will be great, but the true value of the company will be the technology behind it. And you need to protect this. But
Okay, super. Thank you. Another question online. Véronique, what happens if we do take the leap of faith, invest money and time, and it doesn't succeed? How to approach that?
If it doesn't succeed, if it doesn't fly with everything that you tried, well, either you're in the wrong business with the wrong product or service targeting the wrong clients. And it's not easy to pull the plug, to say, it's not working. But at some point, you do have to take that decision. I sometimes say to female founders, this is not going to work. You've tried everything you could. There's just no market. There's just no market. So stop it and do something else. Is there anything you learned from what you did? When I sold my business after 3 years, it was not because it wasn't working, but my co-founder left because she thought we weren't moving fast enough. And I thought, I've been investing 3 years in this business. I sold it. I want to do something with that knowledge. And I'm not a software person, but I drew an online platform pre-corona, pre-COVID, where food producers could meet intermediaries and end consumers on a platform, online platform, because I thought the whole world of food fairs was very inefficient, lots of time, lots of money to go and try and find one another. It never flew. It never got off the ground because I pitched it at an investment fund, and I had a projection of growing in 5 years' time to 1.2 million euros, which I found amazing. I thought 1 million. And the guy I pitched for said, "What's the use? That's small. Why would you bother? You're not going to invest your time in doing that." But that's another story. But if it doesn't fly, draw your conclusion. And either if you have tried to pivot and you can't pivot anymore, you don't see any pivot, try and find something in what you did and start anew. But you need to have a market. The market is the only judge. You can have a lot of advice. There's a lot of people advising you on what to do, what not to do, but the only judge is the market.
and I would say make sure you just learn along the way. As long as you're learning every day something new and growing as a person, as a professional, you didn't lose any time, and hopefully you didn't lose too much money.
Okay. No other questions online. Any last in the room? Nobody?
I might have a question for Véronique.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So we're a young, growing company. What we sometimes struggle with is hiring women on our team, because we're a team. We're 3 brothers, so already very male dominated. We're in the software sector, which means that finding a female software engineer is next to impossible, and this actually makes it harder, because the more your team grows, the more it's male dominated, the more it's like, oh, I will be the only female in a larger team. Do you have any tips or advice on how to handle this?
If you get in the position of talking to someone who would be interested, a woman software engineer or software developer interested in joining your firm, is discuss it and say, you'll be the first. We're fully supportive, so show us the way. Involve her. Someone needs to be the first. I myself am not that impressed if I'm among all men, not at a network event. It doesn't bother me. I'm pro diversity. I'm only addressing female founders, but I'm pro diversity in teams, in investor teams, because that's the world out there. And I never impress because I'm only surrounded by men. I mean, we're all human beings, right? Is having a gender that difficult to make us work together. So just talk about it, be open about it, and say, look, for us, it's new for us, it's new for you. We'll find it out together, and maybe she will join based on that.
Okay, thanks. Super helpful.
Okay, thank you to everyone that joined live and online. Thank you to both of you for joining us today and
thank you.
Sharing your knowledge and experience has been really valuable.
My pleasure.
Thank you to Capricorn Partners for the location. And we are organising the first edition of StartUP Social Club on the 13th of April. We've been talking about networking today. It's an after work networking party that brings together startup founders and young entrepreneurs with potential investors to create valuable new partnerships. The idea is very informal, get together, drinks, some games, a live DJ. So stay tuned to our social channels or sign up to our newsletter through the website to get your ticket as soon as they're launched. Catch us again next month for another episode of Startup Stories on April 19th. Thank you and have a great day.